Greetings, students. We're back in the middle of lesson 43. We are meeting our friends sine, cosine, and tangent. We've talked about how these functions are created. And in the first example, I don't even need the calculator for the first one because this is just a little baby step. What we're doing is we're given a handful of triangles. Copy with me. I'll just do them one at a time. In this one, we're told 4, 7, A. Okay? And so what we're asked to do is in this first one, this is part A, we're supposed to find the sine of A. Now, what John is looking for is not the size of the angle. He just wants to know what's the decimal number that we would use. So sine, we remember, is opposite versus hypotenuse. We're orienting here because this is angle A. And so the opposite over hypotenuse is what we want. The opposite is 4. The hypotenuse is 7. And then we can simplify that by simply saying 4 divided by 7. And the answer is 0.57, blah, 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 blah. And we're going to simply round that to 2 decimal places. So it's 0.57, 0.57, okay? So that's the answer for the first part. That, we didn't use any trig buttons for that, did we? We just created the fraction and then used the calculator to turn the fraction into a decimal number. So we're just working here and practicing taking these fractions and turning them into a decimal. Let's do another one. Part B, we get a different triangle, and John's flipping the triangles around just to try to make sure we can orient ourselves either way. Here's angle B. There's our reminder, it's a right angle. This is 5, 7, 8.6, and we're supposed to find the cosine of B. Okay, cosine is a hold, right? And so all we have to do is figure out which is the adjacent side. Now, where are we standing? Oh yeah, we're angle B, right? That's how we know. We're here at B, and we need the adjacent, which is 7, and we need the hypotenuse, which is 8.6. Then, oops, threw my daughter's phone. Clear it. Now all we have to do is just reduce this number, or turn it from a fraction into a decimal. This line says divided by 7 divided by 8.6 equals, and we round it to 0.81. You don't have to put that lead 0. I usually do it when I'm teaching just to make it super clear, but it's not necessary. And then the last part of this problem, triangle flips the other way. We get a C here. We go, okay, well, that's where we're standing. And we get 8, 10, and 6. And this time we're supposed to find the tangent of C. And again, all we're doing is just taking the fraction and converting it into a decimal. That's the first baby step that John wants us to work on. Okay, so the tangent, Oscar had a hold over Arthur. So we're standing here by angle C. That's our orientation. Here we are. I'll draw us in this time. Our opposite side is 6, and our adjacent side is 8. Okay, so again, I don't need any trig function buttons yet. I'm just going 6 divided by 8 equals 0.75. Okay, so that is the first set of problems that we're going to do, and that's just a little warm-up. Now we're going to talk a little bit. We're going to practice using the inverse function because that's the next baby step. We figured out how to create these decimals. Now we're going to use the decimals to find out the degree of the angle. Remember in these problems we just did, we didn't care what the degree of the angle was. We didn't even talk about that. We just gave it a letter and ignored it. Now we're going to say, okay, how do you figure out what the size of that angle is? So this is example 43.2, and we're almost done with this lesson. Okay, so for part A, we're supposed to find the angle whose sine, I'm using the abbreviation, equals 0.643. Okay, so what I told you, I'm flipping back again. When we know the decimal and we want the degree, that's when we use the inverse functions, the one with the little -1. It doesn't literally mean that you multiply the function by -1. That's just the way the calculators trigger it. So what we do is, I hope you can see this semi-okay. What we do is we enter the decimal number. All right, it's 0.643. Then we hit second. And when you do that, it will change these trig functions so they have the -1 over the, as the little exponent. That's what we want. We want sine, so there it is. So what that tells us is that if your opposite over hypotenuse decimal number is 0.643, that means you have a 40-degree angle. And that's the right answer. Oh my gosh, how cool is that, right? And there's just one more and then we're done with this lesson. The second part is we're supposed to find the angle whose cosine, you don't have to write this all out, I just want to make sure you can see what we're doing. The angle whose cosine equals 0.216. Okay? Oh, just a second, I didn't finish this. So first we entered the decimal, then we hit second, and then, I'll go this way. Then on this one, we did sine to the -1. These are my buttons that I'm entering, all right? So I'll do it again for this one, and I'll do it better. First, we put in 0.216. There's each individual button. I like that better. So cute. Okay, let me do it though. 0.216. Then we make sure we hit second. Mine's already in second. It's lit up so I know we're there. Plus I've got the the little exponents on my trig functions on the button, so I know I'm where I want to be. And this time we want to find cosine, so then I do cosine of -1. Really, when I look at this button, I don't think cosine of -1, I think inverse cosine. That's what my brain says. And I get an answer. This is the degrees, okay? I round to the nearest hundredth. We use 2 decimal points in high school. In college, I always used 4. So for now, we're getting away easy. So our answer is 77.53 degrees. That's the size of the angle that will give you, that if you take the adjacent over the hypotenuse, reduce it to a decimal number, that's the size angle that you have. Okay, very cool. The problems or the practice problems, I should say, are just what we did. Here, what you have to, we didn't do these. Let me just show you how to do these really quickly. Okay, for the first one, it says use a calculator to evaluate 4 times the cosine of 75.8 degrees. This is one where we have the degree and we want the decimal. So what we do is we enter 75.8. Then we hit the function cosine. Then we multiply that times 4. That is your answer. Round it to 2 decimal places, 0.98. So when we are doing these problems, we're basically working backwards. I'll do this one too. 37.42. That's what you get when you put the two sides over each other. It's sine, so we knew that we took the opposite and we put it over the hypotenuse and we divided it to get the decimal number. No, I'm lying. Never mind, just ignore everything that I said. That's the measure of the angle. 37.42, we want to know the sine of that, and then we multiply it by 6. Okay? So we're working backwards. All right? Enter that number, then enter the trig function as it's stated there, not the inverse. I didn't hit second, just the straight number, and then multiply it by this lead coefficient. Okay, that's it for 43. I will see you for 44, and we're going to do more trig and figure out what it's good for. Okay, bye.